I asked 6 of my friends to see who could farm the most melons in Minecraft in 3 hours. And while 2 of them declined, the other 4 were put in a 200 by 200 world with 1 melon seed each. Each player has a 20 by 20 safe space where no one can steal or grief you. The player with the most melon slices in their chest by the end of the 3 hours wins. And don't worry, that huge video that I was talking about in the last video, that's coming, it's on the way. I'm just taking a break because I'm feeling kind of burnt out. Don't worry. We all started out by chopping down trees and getting wood to bring back to our areas. The people that had a spot away from water immediately had a disadvantage because they had to go out and get iron to get a bucket to put in their area. Eventually, during the first night, Destroyer was at 2 hearts when Tristan threatened to murder him. Then, something unexpected happened. Tristan wanted an alliance with the Destroyer. They agreed to count as 1 person in the end of the challenge if they shared the profits of melons. Eventually, we all figured out that the best way to do this challenge was to get good tools and armor to safely fight skeletons to craft into bone meal, which makes the melon plants instantly grow. Because we are all insanely bad at Minecraft, we died in the huge cave in the middle and lost our items. By the way, S'mores and Destroyer both decided to play the game in pirate speak, so they didn't know what the blocks were called half the time. Bruh. Truly, one of the wisest decisions of all time. At this point, barely any of us had any melons. Tristan and Destroyer hadn't placed any at this point, and Fool and I only had a few. While I was too busy dying of a humongous skill issue.
That was a rock.
Whoa! S'mores was hard at work and got a whole farm set up with almost a full set of armor. A little bit later, Fool was working on making a strip mine under her base. Meanwhile, Destroyer planted his first melon plant.
Why did the sheep go over there? Sheep, you're so stupid.
Shiny diamond!
What?
What?
I then proceeded to kill Fool and take all their stuff because I had none. Don't worry though, because they had to go to dinner a few minutes later and leave the challenge. This meant that all of her stuff was up for grabs. Eventually, Destroyer ended up raiding her chests and furnaces and ended up walking away with like 2 pieces of coal. I never ended up taking her stuff because I was down in the mines getting some iron for proper armor. Meanwhile, S'mores was busy threatening Destroyer with his diamond sword for his chest plate. The whole time, Tristan kept helping Destroyer out and giving him things like tools and buckets. While they were doing that, I was fleshing out my farm, making rows of melon plants so they could make a melon at any time. From the way it looked, Tristan wasn't far behind either. He had already made an entire row of plants. S'mores had a checkerboard-like pattern that took up a lot of the property. However, Destroyer didn't want to farm manually. He wanted to build an automatic melon farm, so he was down mining for material. Anything could happen in an hour, so who knows how many he could harvest with an automatic farm. Well, I know, but I'm not telling you. You gotta watch to the end of the video for that. While Tristan was waiting for his melons to grow, he was making a water elevator to Destroyer's base for quick traveling. While he was doing that, I was busy making profits from my melon farm, and Destroyer was taming a dog. Of course. During all this, S'mores was down in his mines under his base. And then, I started having some very evil thoughts. So, my next goal was to get some flint and steel. Number 1, to get some cooked food without having to cook it. And number 2, to set the whole forest on fire. If I set the whole forest on the west side on fire, then everyone's natural resources would deplete. The only thing that I needed at this point was just a piece of flint, which can be found when mining gravel. Once I crafted it, everything was set. I ended up burning down Destroyer's favorite tree, and he vowed to go to war with me. A bit later, I went down to the mines to get some bone meal, and Destroyer finally placed his first 8 melon plants. In fact, around this time he realized that he won't have enough time to make a melon farm, and decided to start farming manually. S'mores went AFK during this time, so he didn't farm anything for like 30 minutes straight. Then, something unexpected happened. About 2 hours in, S'mores revealed that he had 3 stacks of melons. This was bad, because no one else had even 1 stack yet. We all knew that we had to start kicking it into overdrive. I started burning down all the forests and farmed more melons than I ever knew I could. At the end of the day, 3 hours were up, and we had to tally up the scores. We went to my base first and looked in the chest. Even after nearly 30 minutes of farming, I had only 4 stacks of melons. Whatever, I still had a fighting chance to beat everyone. Next, we went to S'mores' area. When we looked in the chest, he had almost 8 stacks of melons.
Oh, yep, that's a lot of melons.
He also had a nether portal, apparently.
And there's another portal down the thing.
There's another portal? Hold on.
Yeah, didn't you see the achievement? I went to
Oh.
I had officially not won. However, I still had a fighting chance to get second. Because Tristan and Destroyer were teaming, they had plenty of time to get as many melons as possible. Surely, they must have gotten an entire chest full with 3 hours of time and help from across 2 people, right? My heart sank. There was no way I wouldn't get last place at this point. So, we looked in their chests, and they had about 1 stack each.
Okay, so this is my teammate, by the way.
You had a teammate?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's against the rules. Well, you still only got like a stack and a half of melon.
Even with a huge farm, Tristan somehow only had about a stack and a half in his chest. This means that S'mores had officially won first place. This video was a lot of fun to make, so be sure to smash that like and subscribe button. If I manage to hit 2,000 likes, I'll, I don't know, blow up the entire world or something.